Do you feel like you have the full picture, or is there constantly that nagging feeling of I'm missing something? That is the most common question I get. Over and over again, people ask me what that might be. What are they missing, and why aren't they healing or changing in the way that they would expect to after doing lots of work, perhaps meditating and doing all the things? And that is what this video is all about. Just a quick heads up. If you want to get 85 pages of mind training basics and lots of proof and screenshots of what the work that I teach actually looks like in practice, then click the link down below and I will send you a free mind training Bible. As you can see, I'm outside, stepping out of the box and doing something differently. Because today I want to talk about something that I haven't spoken about yet on my channel, while I have been teaching it inside my mind training coaching group Helpings. And that topic relates to God, to mind, and to what you actually believe in and what you are open to entertaining as an idea. Fact of the matter is that most of us grew up being told what we should believe in. Perhaps you belong to a church where somebody told you stuff every single week. Nothing wrong with that if it made you feel good. Perhaps you weren't religious. Perhaps your parents were atheists, telling you that they don't believe in anything. You're just a human being, you're here, you're born, and then you die, and that's it. Or maybe you were somewhere in between where you weren't quite certain of how it all works, how it all hangs together. Maybe you believe that there was a universe, some higher power that actually has or had your back, and yet you couldn't quite figure that out. The more you work with your mind, the clearer it becomes that everything starts with a thought. You've heard me say that many times over. And in essence, that's all there is. Thoughts are nothing, and yet they are the building blocks of what actually builds your environment, your experience, what you think you're looking at, and the world. The question is that the whole truth? Because you have probably heard that life is just an illusion, there's no time and space, you create your own reality. So how the hell can you create cars and trees and houses and kids and husbands? Surely you are not creating those, turning thoughts into physical matter. That doesn't really make sense when you think about it, does it? How would that be possible? How could you think a thought and then that would somehow make physical materia appear out of nowhere? So there's some part of that equation that isn't quite right. That's how I felt for many, many years. I understood the idea of manifestation. I believed in the power of thought, and yet I couldn't figure it out until I did. And that's what I'm in the process of teaching my advanced mind training students at the moment, because everything boils down to your thoughts. And where are your thoughts? In the mind, which means that all there is mind. That is the only power that you have. That is what you use to decide what will determine your life experience. And if you've done meditation, I think it's pretty easy for you to relate to this idea that mind is everything and nothing all at once. That is where your power is. That is unconditional love in essence. And when you close your eyes and you sit down in meditation, you can experience that. You cannot see it, you cannot touch it, you cannot taste it, and yet you know that to be true. How? Because you love the people in your life dearly. Perhaps not all of them, but some of them, your pets included. So that love is very real to you. And you probably also relate to the idea of love being the truth and the essence of life, because how could this world be built on hate as its driving power? That is what it looks like, but that cannot be the truth. Why? Because you've heard that life is just an illusion, and what you are looking at is an optical illusion, according to Albert Einstein. So that missing link has to be the mind, or mind. And what is in the mind? Well, your power is there. Technically, it's not a place because you cannot touch it, you cannot feel it, and yet it is pure power. Which brings me back to the discussion around what you believe in, religion and spirituality. My job is not to make people believe in what I believe in or what I teach. I question people's beliefs. I ask them if their beliefs are serving them. And I know for a fact that the answer to that question is usually no, because they are experiencing something that they don't like. And your experience is based on your belief. So in some way, you have to find a way to change that. Otherwise, nothing can change in your so-called lived experience, what you see in front of you. I used to think that God was outside myself. In fact, for most of my life, I couldn't even say the word God. It was so foreign and so scary to me, because I had been made to believe that God was somewhere up there sitting on a cloud, perhaps behind me, looking at me, judging me, and probably telling me that I should do something to atone for my sins, that I should be punished for the shit that I stirred up. And then perhaps if I did a good job with that and did some good, then I would go to heaven, and then I would be approved and loved by God. There's just a lot of things in that theory that don't match up. How could God be outside of you? And how could God create human beings, some of which are really sick or unhealthy or have shitloads of problems or who live in really poor areas? That doesn't make any sense. If God is unconditional love that loves everything and everyone equally, why would some people be really well off, really happy and content with beautiful bodies, and others be in the middle of a shitstorm for most of their lives? That doesn't make any sense. And yet, I didn't really question that because I didn't understand what questions I should ask in the first place. And now I know for a fact that God, whatever that is, did not create me or what I am looking at. It is physically impossible. At least that is my belief. God is unconditional love. God is mind. God is a power that everyone has, but that most of us have forgotten about. God has nothing to do with religion, and God does not want you to think in a certain way, because God is unconditional love, and unconditional love loves unconditionally. And this is really one of my favorite parts of everything I teach, to pose the right questions and to make my students really question what they believe in and why. Because when you do that, you will get a different experience. Again, I want to repeat this one point. It's not about adapting to my beliefs or believing in what I teach. It's about you thinking about what you believe in and why it's so hard for you to change those beliefs, because you've had them for a long time and because your entire existence is based on them. But if you want to change and heal, then you will also understand that that belief is standing in your way. And when you start to open yourself up to a different interpretation, to question what you believe is true, what is God? What am I doing here? How does this work? What is mind? Where is my power? And how do I tap into it? Then that's when things start to change. And that's when you tap into unconditional love that is you in essence. So if you want to learn more about mind training, then click the link down below to get my mind training Bible that shows you lots of cool examples of what this work looks like in practice. Mind you, I don't really teach meditation much. Sometimes I talk about it, but my main focus is to show my students what to do throughout the day, because that work is directly related to the ego. And unless you find a way to undo the ego step by step by step, then nothing will change, because that is the problem, not the problems that you think are your problems. Perhaps I confused you with that a little bit, but trust me, it actually makes sense once you start to train your mind. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a like if it was helpful to you, and I'll see you in the next video. Sending so much love from outside the box.